Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
Hey everyone, today's episode is going to be narrated by one of my colleagues and writers, Matt Stroud. He's narrated this show before. You might remember him from the Nick Hillary episode. As you can probably hear in my voice, I'm currently sick at home with the flu and unable to record. Please enjoy today's episode, and hopefully I will have my voice back next week. Thanks.
This is the alleged record of Abel Lescott. Stop talking.
Oh, man. Like, I don't know who y'all be thinking y'all fooling. I accept for value, return for value, this document.
One more interruption and you're going to be removed to the next courtroom.
That's what you want to do anyway.
It's not what I want to do. Do not interrupt, Attorney Opper.
Judge Jennifer Doro was dealing with a difficult defendant, one who on October 21st, 2022, decided to scrunch up his face, lean forward in his chair at the defense table, pound his fists, and proceed to glare at her.
So
Your Honor, I believe he has 7 prior criminal convictions, OWI 2nd from 1997, and OWI 3rd from 1997, and OWI 4th from 2003, criminal trespass to dwelling from 2006.
Right, I need to take a break. This man right now is having a stare down with me. It's very disrespectful. He pounded his fist. Frankly, it makes me scared. And we're taking a break.
The court took a break. It was one of many outbursts and interruptions the defendant would have during his murder trial. A little less than a year prior, on November 21st, 2021, the city of Waukesha, Wisconsin was bustling with people. The city's annual Christmas parade was about to begin, and the entire town seemed to partake. This would be the parade's glorious return after being canceled in 2020 due to the COVID pandemic. The crowds were huge. Young families stretched along either side of the road at the starting point between Main Street, White Rock Avenue, and Pleasant Street. The local marching band, Christmas-themed floats, classic cars, and various dance troupes were all set to march a mile down the center of town, a tradition for over 58 years at the time. Local baseball teams, prominent members of the community, and the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies were also going to appear in the parade. The route would be partially barricaded by local police. It was a little glimmer of holiday spirit after 2 very strange years. But this parade would be different. The festivities began at 4 p.m., and as parade goers traveled down the historic route, tragedy struck. At 4:39 p.m., local police heard a distressing call come in over their radios. "Red escape, black male. I couldn't stop it," one officer said. "He's going westbound, blowing his horn. He's running over people." Today's episode covers the tragedy that happened that day, the victims who lost their lives, and all the courtroom shenanigans that would later take place in what I can only describe as one of the most bizarre trials I have ever watched. This is Matt Stroud, in for Jillian Jalali, and in partnership with Law and Crime, you are listening to Court Junkie, episode 220. The Milwaukee Dancing Grannies had been a dance troupe since 1984. On average, they performed in over 25 parades a year from Memorial Day to Christmas. The only requirement to join was you had to be a granny. Women from their early 50s to mid-70s met once a week to work on their routines. On November 21st, 2021, Virginia Sorensen, Leanna Owen, and Tamara Durand were all performing with the Dancing Grannies at the Waukesha Christmas Parade. Virginia was 79, the leader of the group. She was a retired nurse. Leanna, age 71, was the manager of a local apartment complex. She was never without her rescued bulldog Oscar by her side, and she worked tirelessly to foster a relationship with everyone in the 32-unit apartment building where she worked. Tamara was 52. She was an elementary school teacher, a cheerleading coach, and a church chaplain. Among her family, she was known as a hero. Years prior, in 2009, as she was serving as a chaplain at a local hospital, she went for an early morning run. When she approached a bridge crossing over the Wisconsin River, she could hear someone screaming for help. When she approached the river, Tamara spotted a man 20 feet into the river. She did everything in her power to save him, pulling him along a 50-foot retaining wall until he was able to hold on to something. She then ran to get help. She was the youngest and newest member of the Dancing Grannies. Then there was Wilhelm Bill Hospel. He was arguably one of the Dancing Grannies' biggest fans. His wife, Lola Hospel, danced proudly with the group. Wilhelm never missed an opportunity to show his support. They had been married 61 years. Originally born in Germany, Wilhelm moved to the United States as a teenager. He loved hunting, ATV riding, spending time with friends, and playing pickleball. On the afternoon of November 21st, 2021, he was walking along the parade route with the Dancing Grannies, cheering on his wife and handing out waters. Jane Coolidge was 52 and worked at a local Citizens Bank for just over a year. She was also a longtime server at Dave's Family Restaurant in Waukesha, a town staple. That Sunday morning had started out in church, where she sat alongside her husband, John Coolidge. During that morning sermon, the pastor noted how great couples are better together, a message her husband took to heart. Having been married 22 years, they had gone through everything together. Looking to celebrate the start of the Christmas season, Jane planned to see the Waukesha parade with co-workers from the bank and even walk alongside the company float. Then there was Jackson Sparks. He was 8 years old and in 3rd grade. He was marching in the parade with his baseball team that day, alongside his older brother, Tucker. The kids and their coaches all stopped to take a team photo before walking in the event. It was cold out that afternoon, and all the kids were bundled up, decked out in their team gear, the Waukesha Blazers. What no one was expecting that day, a day that was set to symbolize joy, a return to normalcy following years of a pandemic, and community spirit, was that it would be tarnished. Shortly after the parade began, a red Ford Escape breached the partial road barriers set up by police on East Main Street and began flying in an excessive speed down the parade route. Waukesha Police Detective Tom Casey heard a car horn and then saw the car enter the roadway.
As the vehicle approached me, it started pounding on the hood.
So you were close enough to pound on the hood of the car?
Yes. I was in the roadway, and the distance closed really fast.
Okay. How fast was the car traveling, would you say?
It could be 3 to 5 miles an hour, but in that area with all the people around and a vehicle that weighs 2,000 pounds against a person, it came upon me very fast and was very threatening.
He yelled for the driver to stop, but it drove past him. Footage taken from bystanders showed the car zooming down the road, rarely braking and navigating around groups in the parade. In one instance, just after the car rushed by, Detective Casey can be seen running after it while radioing for help. Another video showed the car speeding down the side of the parade route and narrowly missing a toddler who was dancing to the music of the band. Onlookers and parade participants looked around in shock but continued marching. But then, just as the vehicle approached the local high school marching band, which had just made it to the intersection of West Main Street and North Barstow Street, the driver changed course and plowed through the group, running over several people.
There's a car going westbound, pushing parade goers on a red Escape, black male. I couldn't stop it. He's going westbound, blowing his horn.
In just a few short seconds, calm had turned into chaos. The car continued to barrel down the road. Now it appeared the driver was aiming for people. The car then hit the Waukesha Blazers baseball team and the Waukesha Extreme Dance Team, a dance team comprised of mostly young girls. Group after group were struck down. Dozens of people lay on the road, hurt, mangled, badly injured.
Hey, 178, we got about 10 to 15 people down in the street.
The car didn't stop. It kept going, moving through the crowd.
All units can work on red. Copy. Right now we're getting numerous calls for multiple different locations.
The participants representing Citizens Bank were struck, and then the Dancing Grannies. People stood in shock and horror. Some ran over to assist those who were hit. Others fled with their small children to safety. What was happening? Were there more vehicles coming? Was this a terrorist attack? Who was behind the wheel? As the vehicle continued, it neared the end of the parade route. It barreled through another set of police barricades on Wisconsin Avenue, and an officer opened fire. He shot 3 times, and all 3 bullets hit the vehicle, but the car sped off. At the time, an estimated 40 people were injured. Witnesses said the car looked to be going about 40 miles an hour. The parade route flooded with police and emergency vehicles that helped transport 11 adults and 12 children to 6 different hospitals. Waukesha Police Chief Dan Thompson said some people had been killed, but an exact number had yet to be released. A manhunt for the driver, the killer, was now underway. Local public safety alerts began popping up on everyone in the area's phone. "This is Waukesha PD," it read. "If you are within a half-mile radius of the 5 Points downtown, shelter in place now. Wait for an all-clear message." A mile away from the chaos of Main Street was the home of Daniel Ryder. It was just after 5 p.m. on Sunday, and Daniel was watching a football game in his living room. Cowboys versus the Chiefs. An exciting matchup was underway, and he wasn't paying attention to his phone, where the alert was now coming through. So he wasn't fazed when all of a sudden he heard an unexpected knock at the front door.
Hey, I called an Uber, and I'm supposed to be waiting for it over here, but I don't know when it's coming. Can you call it for me, please? I'm homeless.
The man said he was cold and needed to use his phone so he could tell his Uber where to pick him up.
What did that gentleman look like? He was African American. He had long hair and a beard. Do you remember what he was wearing? Yeah, he had a red T-shirt, reddish orange T-shirt, and no shoes on, pants. But I remember it stood out to me because it was cold and really windy that day, and he was outside with a T-shirt and no shoes and saying he's really cold. So that stood out.
Daniel opened the door without hesitation.
I let him come inside and warm up. I just tend to believe people, and I'm from a small town, and we had people that need help all the time because we live right off a highway. So I'm used to, didn't faze me too much. I mean, I was nervous for sure, but I was like, yeah, I can use my phone. And he made it sound like the Uber was going to be here just any second, just needed to know where to pick him up. So I said, yeah, you can come and warm up while you wait for the Uber. And I let him sit on the couch right by the window out front. I said, you can look out here waiting for your Uber. And he's on the phone most of the time after that with his mom. And he's saying the address, 553 Elizabeth Street, is where he needs to come. And, how far away is it? Kind of things like that.
In later news interviews, Daniel would recall the moment, saying, I was like, oh, this is my chance to help somebody. I'm going to warm him up and give him some food. He invited the man inside his home and lent him a jacket, offered his cell phone to get hold of the man's Uber, and even made him a sandwich. As the man was inside Daniel's house, he asked an odd question. Is there something going on downtown? Oh, that's probably the parade, Daniel said. He had been watching the game all afternoon and hadn't checked the local news or his phone. At one point, the man assured Daniel that he was not dangerous and had no weapons. As time went on, Daniel started to notice some odd things about the man. The man was acting shifty as he waited for his ride. He had used Daniel's phone to call his mom. At the same time, a police car began making its way up and down Daniel's street.
After 8 or 9 minutes, I'm looking around outside and I see a police car drive by. And then I see another one coming down the street. And so I tell him, I say, hey, we don't get a lot of police traffic on this street. And I'm getting nervous and this is just too weird of a situation. You're fine to wait for your Uber, but you need to do it outside of my house. And he was a little bit like, oh, no, it's okay. Don't worry, man. Don't worry. And I said, no, you need to leave. And then he listened and got up. And I've got video footage of that, of me escorting him outside of my house. He's still on the phone and he's still got my jacket on, but I just said, you need to leave.
The man went outside to check and see if his Uber arrived. But what greeted him instead was a police officer on foot, shining their flashlight directly at Daniel's front porch. In a nearby driveway, a red Ford Escape with a mangled front end was parked. The hood and front bumper were severely dented. Police had found their suspect. Daniel had welcomed this unknown man into his home and at one point offered him slippers as he was barefoot. Now, that same man was lying face down in his front yard being arrested. He was so polite. He was nice to me. He listened to everything I told him to do. Now, knowing what he did just moments before that, it's hard to even wrap your head around, Daniel would later say. The man was taken into custody and local news stations reported that a person of interest in the attack had been captured without incident. 5 people had been pronounced dead. 3 members of the Dancing Grannies, Virginia Sorensen, Leanna Owen, and Tamara Durand. 1 member's husband, William Bill Hospel, and Jane Coolidge, who worked at the local Citizens Bank. More than 40 people were hurt, suffering from broken bones, skull fractures, and other injuries. Many self-transported to the hospital. By Monday, November 22, 2021, police released the name of the suspect, Darrell E. Brooks. Rumors began swirling about what looked to be deleted Facebook posts from someone of that same name. The truth was, at the time, Waukesha police had no idea why Brooks would drive his SUV into a closed-down parade route and plow through what was now over 60 innocent bystanders. He wasn't giving police any information, and it appeared as though he didn't know anyone in the actual parade. What investigators did learn rather quickly was that not only did Brooks have a history of trouble with local police, but he was also actually out on bail at the time of the attack. Days before November 21st, 2021, Brooks had paid $1,000 to be released from the Milwaukee County Jail. According to Fox 6 Milwaukee, 16 days before the parade, Brooks had appeared in court accused of running over the mother of one of his 3 children in the same red Ford Escape that would be used in the Christmas parade attack. His bail had been set to $1,000 by a local judge. Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm blamed human error for the low bail amount. He called the $1,000 bail inappropriately low given the context of what we knew. Chisholm faced calls to resign from his position as a result. When local news stations asked about the transcript for his $1,000 bail hearing, a district court administrator admitted there was no recording available, citing technical issues. At the time of that arrest, Brooks had a warrant out in Nevada for failing to appear in court on sex crime charges. Tensions rose in the courtroom on Tuesday, November 23, 2021, as Brooks was set to get a bail hearing for his attack on the parade goers. People were furious. How could you let someone who had previously used his vehicle as a weapon go so easily? Not to mention, Brooks had an arrest sheet dating back over 20 years. That was the question on everyone's mind as Judge Kevin Costello set the bail to $5 million. Judge Costello called the bail amount extraordinarily high for the indigent Brooks. Per Wisconsin law, Brooks would have to pay the $5 million in full to be released. Then, news broke that another victim had passed away. Jackson Sparks, just 8 years old, died in the hospital from his injuries. He had been marching in the parade alongside members of his baseball team when the SUV careened into them. He suffered brain injuries from the incident and even underwent brain surgery that Sunday night. His older brother, Tucker, was also admitted to the hospital with severe injuries and a skull fracture. By the following Monday, November 29, 2021, Darrell Brooks had been charged with 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. As investigators combed through his lengthy police record, which began in 1999, a serious conversation about the issues surrounding cash bail became a national discussion. In the wake of Darrell Brooks' bail being set at $5 million, the White House doubled down on their push to end cash bail and proposed that people be held based on their threat to society and local communities versus whether or not they can afford bail. Since 1999, Brooks had incurred many charges, including substantial battery, marijuana possession, failure to appear in court, and statutory sexual seduction after impregnating a 15-year-old in Nevada. By 2010, Brooks had been charged with strangulation, battery, criminal damage to property, and resisting officers while attempting to flee a traffic stop. In July 2020, he was accused of shooting at his nephew and a friend in Milwaukee. No one was injured, but he was charged with 2 counts of second-degree recklessly endangering safety and 1 count of being a felon in possession of a firearm. At that time, his bail was initially recommended to be just $15,000. The judge set it to $10,000. By August, the bail was lowered to $7,500. After a delay in his trial, Brooks' bail was then lowered to just $500, for which he quickly paid and was released. On November 2nd, 2021, the mother of one of his children reported to police that Brooks had punched her and then drove over her leg during an argument at a local gas station. Despite his attempts to convince the woman to drop the charges, his bail was set to $1,000. Brooks was later charged with intimidating a witness for keeping contact with the woman after the police report had been filed. On November 11th, 2021, Brooks' mom posted his bail. He was released 5 days later. Time and again during these cases, Brooks was released on a low bail or recognizance under the promise to return to court later, something he rarely did. On December 1st, 2021, Dawn Woods Brooks, his mother, released a statement about her son, stating that he had a long struggle with mental health issues. Quote, "Daryl has suffered from mental health issues since he was very young. In those years, he received counseling and was on medication. When he became an adult, a decision was made that he no longer suffered from a mental illness. That decision left him with no insurance or financial means to pay for medication and, when determined, necessary counseling. Instead of offering help and resources to combat the problem, a jail cell was given, over and over again. When mental illness is not properly treated, the person becomes sicker and sicker. It doesn't go away once a person becomes an adult." Meanwhile, in jail, Brooks claimed that he was being demonized in the facility. "I feel like I'm being monster demonized," he told a Fox News Wisconsin affiliate. While he was being held on $5 million bail, he was slapped with another $200,000 bail for his additional charges prior to the parade of hitting the mother of his child with his car and attempting to intimidate her. On January 12th, 2022, he was officially charged with 71 new criminal charges. On top of facing life in prison for each one of the 6 homicide charges, 71 new charges included multiple counts of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, hit and run resulting in death, misdemeanor battery, domestic abuse, and felony bail jumping. The new charges included all the innocent bystanders who were injured during the attack: the Waukesha Extreme Dance Team, Burris Logistics Group, Milwaukee Dancing Grannies, Catholic Community of Waukesha were just some of the groups who were listed in the complaint. The charges also included an altercation he had had with his ex-girlfriend, Erica Patterson, moments before the attack. In February, Brooks pleaded not guilty to all charges. That same month, the State Senate of Wisconsin passed an amendment to make it harder for criminal defendants to get out of jail on bail. It will be up for a vote by Wisconsin residents in 2023. Quote, "The amendment would require court officials to consider a defendant's risk to public safety when setting bail. Currently, bail is set only as a means to ensure a person returns to court. The change would allow courts to consider the totality of the circumstances in a case, whether the accused has been convicted of a violent crime in the past, the probability he or she will flee, and the need to protect the community." In June 2022, Brooks decided to change his plea to not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. He was ordered to undergo a mental evaluation. He later attempted to get the whole case thrown out, citing a July 2022 search of his jail cell that he said violated his rights because there was no search warrant. The judge denied the request. In September 2022, Brooks withdrew his insanity plea. When asked by the judge why he had changed his mind, Brooks said, "I have my own reasons why." This would be a telling exchange for how the rest of the interactions between the judge, Judge Jennifer Darrow, and Daryl Brooks would go. In late September 2022, Brooks was approved to be able to represent himself during the trial. He had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder since he was 12. During the court proceedings, 4 examiners evaluated him and diagnosed him with an antisocial personality disorder. They concluded that no mental deficiencies prevented him from advocating for himself and knowing right from wrong. Judge Darrow approved his request to represent himself, no matter how foolish that request may seem. As the trial neared, Brooks was in the courtroom for jury selection. The process for both the judge and Brooks did not go smoothly. He continuously interrupted the proceedings, stating that he was being treated unfairly and asking the judge for her name and credentials. The judge had him moved to an adjacent courtroom to participate virtually. The trial began on October 6, 2022. Zachary Wichow from the Waukesha County DA's office gave the opening statements for the prosecution.
The evidence is going to show that Mr. Brooks left behind a trail of carnage and chaos as he made his way down Main Street through the parade route. The evidence will show that he left that crime scene, created that crime scene, in fact, because he was fleeing from another one where he had laid his hands on a woman and where police involvement became inevitable. So as he careened down Main Street, swerving from curb to curb, hands glued to the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the road in front of him with a silent rage on his face, he hit the gas with his red Ford Escape and used it as a battering ram over and over again, striking men, women, and kids.
He told the jury that Brooks fled an argument with the mother of his child, Erica Patterson, and then hit parade goers in a fit of rage before being found by police. He argued that hitting one person and failing to stop signified that Brooks was acting intentionally. He said, "It sounds corny, but I think you'll see from the videos there was a sense of joy in the air. Darrell Brooks killed that joy. He replaced it with terror and death." During the prosecutor's statements, Brooks was virtually watching from elsewhere in the courthouse. He would wait until the state rested its case 14 days later before presenting his own opening statement, where he insisted he was not a monster and that there were always two sides to every story.
And for so long now, roughly a year, there's only truly been one side told of this story. And I've sat back and watched from countless narratives that's been put out there, the way this incident has been portrayed at times, and finally everyone getting a chance to get the full story.
He told the jury he wouldn't be arguing facts, and the fact is, this incident was very tragic.
Facts are that there's still a lot of people healing, a lot of families healing, on both sides.
Brooks insisted that there had been a lot of suffering because of the event. He appeared to wipe tears away as he explained that not only the victims and community had been affected, but also the alleged defendant's family.
But I'm confident that the evidence will show is that this incident was not planned. This incident was not intentional. And this incident was never even thought about.
As the trial got underway, the court proceedings were at times something of a mess. During day one of trial testimony, Brooks refused to wear a suit to court, instead opting for his jailhouse orange jumpsuit. His actions in the courtroom dominated headlines and circulated the news cycle with viral clips of him and Judge Doro battling it out over courtroom etiquette.
We are back on the record. Appearances are as they were before. I need to make a record that at 8:42 a.m. this court ordered Mr. Brooks be removed from the courtroom due to repeated interruptions and disruption with the court. This, of course, comes on the recent history with Mr. Brooks. On every day that we have been in court since Monday, he has shown a complete and utter disrespect for the simple rules of civility. He has been removed from the courtroom multiple times. This morning alone, he started interrupting this court within a minute of the court calling the case. I should also make a record at the moment he is muted because of the way that he was removed from the courtroom and his conduct since. I have been given just a bit of information about it. I will advise everyone that I have required that the Sheriff's Department file a written report with the court regarding Mr. Brooks's conduct. I'm told that he would not sit down while in this courtroom in order to have the shackles removed so that he could be taken to the other courtroom, that he was resisting, that at one point he took off a shoe, and it appeared to the deputies that he was going to throw the shoe.
After numerous interruptions, Judge Doro moved Brooks to another room to watch the proceedings virtually, a decision that would be repeated often over the next 20 days. Waukesha County District Attorney Sue Auber insisted that Brooks was competent enough to stand trial and had been evaluated several times. She concluded that he was simply trying to make a mockery of the court. While in the separate room, Brooks removed his shoes and threatened to throw things. He carried with him a laminated paper with the word "objection" in large print as his audio was cut. At some points, Brooks argued that he was a sovereign citizen. Sovereign citizens are people who claim to only be answerable to their interpretations of the law as opposed to the government's. It's a defense that doesn't apply to American court proceedings. The state called Waukesha Police Sergeant Dave Warner, who became emotional as he recalled attempting to stop the red Ford Escape as it was flying down the road, and then heard the unthinkable over his squad car radio.
I got in my squad car. It was bombarded with the most terrible...
He took a long pause.
It was the most terrible thing I ever heard.
During his testimony, Brooks repeatedly objected.
What did you observe the path of travel for the SUV to be?
Objection, that's hearsay.
Mr. Brooks, it's not hearsay. Your objection is overruled. Can we answer?
Could you state the question one more time?
Sure. Where did you see the SUV go? Better question.
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
The SUV entered the parade route.
I want you to describe what you remember seeing as it passed your location, please.
As I was waving my hands overhead, I was approximately 6 feet from where the SUV was driving. As the driver passed essentially in front of me by about 6 feet, I could see the operator of the vehicle and just a dazed, straight, focused look straight ahead, not looking at anyone.
Did the driver appear to respond to your efforts to stop the vehicle?
There was absolutely no response.
On cross-examination, Brooks asked him more questions about the video shown in court.
In that clip, is it fair to say that you can see that there are people walking in the street and on the sidewalk? Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I could see that in the video clip.
Do you see anybody being targeted or being in a panic to get away from the vehicle?
No.
Do you see the said driver of that vehicle intentionally trying to hit anyone in that video?
No.
Numerous witnesses were called to testify about the attack, and Brooks would object to each of their statements numerous times while they were on the stand. One witness testified that her daughter was passing out candy when she was hit by a red SUV.
I noticed there was a difference in the sound behind us than what I was hearing throughout. So right as she walked off to the side and I seen she walked to the side, I turned. I don't know if I turned fully or just in my head. And as I turned, all I seen was the hood of a red vehicle. And I hit the red vehicle and rolled down to the side and landed directly between the Burris Logistics.
Then, since Brooks was representing himself, he would also cross-examine each witness.
Do you recall seeing a driver?
No, I seen the red hood of the vehicle. That's all I seen.
So you didn't see the driver or anybody in the vehicle?
No.
Another witness described being hit by the SUV. He testified that he had trouble walking afterwards. Again, Brooks asked if he was able to ID the driver.
So it would be fair to say that at no time during the incident you saw the driver?
No, I did not.
At one point, witness Alicia Jajewski was shown a video of the attack, and she began crying on the stand. Brooks objected.
So, Ms. Jajewski, let me just clarify. What did we see at the end of that video?
You
can take some time.
A car going through the parade.
Objection still. Is the video, who even took the video? Is it relevant?
Sir, it's not an objection, it's a statement. You can ask questions later. Go ahead.
So, Judge, before we begin, I have to step in here and request that Mr. Brooks be instructed to stop making comments under his breath. This witness is very clearly having an emotional and difficult time testifying, and she doesn't need to hear that.
Objection, she can't hear anything I'm saying.
Mr. Brooks, the mics are very good in this courtroom, so please refrain.
Brooks continuously shook his head. Erica Patterson, the mother of one of Brooks's 3 children, took the stand as well. She testified that she was living at a shelter at the time. She told the jury that Brooks hit her in the eye before driving to the parade.
Did you come into contact with Daryl Brooks on the afternoon of November 21st, 2021?
Yes.
Where did you first come into contact with Mr. Brooks?
At Frame Park.
And how did that come about? What were you doing and why did he get there?
We were messaging and calling each other all day. We were arguing back and forth. He came out there. Well, I told him I was with Miss Corey, and he came out there. I told him where I was. Got in his car. We drove around, and then I forgot the street. We went up that street. It's a hill. It's kind of by the Walgreens. We went up that hill. We drove around. Me and him got into an altercation. He hit me in my eye. I jumped out of the car, walked, and found my way back by Frame Park. And then he followed me there. And then I went back in his car. I got out. And I had called Corey. Well, I called Corey before that. And she came to meet me. I told her that me and him got into an altercation.
Erica said she met back up with a friend at the park, a roommate of hers from the women's shelter. Soon, Brooks got into another altercation with both women before fleeing. Brooks cross-examined Erica, too.
First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
You stated that you were hanging out with your friend, Miss Corey, on the day of this incident, correct?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you were hanging out drinking?
Yes.
Would it also be fair to say that you occasionally drink too much?
Sustained.
Would it be fair to say that, well, let me back up. What were you drinking?
A Mike's Hard beverage.
Were you aware that it was said that you were actually drinking vodka?
No.
Hold on. When there's an objection, I need to rule on it first, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Sustained that mischaracterizes the previous testimony. Next question.
So it would be fair to say that you were drinking?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you were a little intoxicated?
I was not.
How much did you drink that day?
1 of the Mike's Hard alcohol beverage.
He asked if she reported to the police that he had hit her.
You also stated that right after this incident, you talked to law enforcement. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
At any time, did you report any abuse?
Yes.
And what did you report?
That you hit me.
And you gave a statement to that effect?
No, not to that police officer, but the detectives at the women's shelter.
Well, I'm referring to right during,
I don't remember
after the incident.
I don't remember what I told that police officer.
He then asked her questions again pertaining to her drinking.
You were not drinking on both of those days that you cite, the 20th or the 21st.
The 20th.
Hold on. Mr. Brooks, under 90611, I'm stopping this cross-examination. You've asked the same question, multiple questions, multiple times, and at this point, I'm going to declare that the opportunity to cross is now concluded.
I didn't know that was the same question, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks, it's been asked and answered multiple times. So with that, I'm going to turn to the state to see if they have any redirect.
At the end of the day, Judge Doro complimented Brooks.
I want to commend you for a couple of things. Number one, asking him to come back into the courtroom. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you being here. I think it runs much smoother when you are here, assuming you follow all the rules, which you have done a very good job at this afternoon. I also want to commend you on cooperating with the process even before you were brought over here. You were respectful, but you also made appropriate objections. You asked questions on cross-examination. Despite not wanting to unmask at first, you did do that, and I appreciate that. You asked some cogent, relevant questions, some of which went directly to the credibility of the witness. I would add, you might not always artfully ask the questions, but I think you're making some solid points. I would encourage you to keep prepping, to have questions written out based on the materials that you have. I really appreciate that you came back over and that you've been following the rules.
She also told him it was his choice, but encouraged him to wear a suit or other street clothes. In court on Monday, October 10th, Brooks ditched the orange jumpsuit and opted for a gray suit. The day's proceedings began with a statement from him, an apology.
I would like to issue the court an apology from me in regards to my actions last week during the trial. I just want the court to understand it's very emotional right now, not only for just the whole situation of the trial, the families here that have to go through, everything that's going to be involved with the trial, but also my family as well and myself is very, very emotional. But not to excuse my actions, I should carry myself with better respect than that. I wasn't raised that way. And I owe you, Your Honor, and the court an apology. And I'm going to stand up as a man and tell the whole court and you, Your Honor, that I apologize to the bailiffs, that I apologize for my actions.
Waukesha Police Detective Thomas Casey was called to the stand. He had chased after the SUV as it entered the parade route. Detective Casey had served many years working the Christmas parade and estimated that nearly 5,000 people were gathered on November 21st to watch it. He recalled attempting to stop the vehicle. "I thought it was just a lost motorist," he said. On cross, Detective Casey was clear on who he saw driving that vehicle.
I heard a horn beeping, and then a Ford Escape came through the parade route, and you drove past me and wouldn't stop, and you continued driving into the parade route.
Who is you?
Daryl Brooks, the defendant, seated at the table.
Let the record reflect that I do not identify by that name, nor do I know anybody by that name.
Your objection is noted.
The cross-examination continued.
So, you heard a horn beeping?
Yes.
Was it coming from the vehicle that you tried to stop?
I believe that it was.
You stated that you've been in law enforcement for 25 years. That's a long time. So it would be fair to say that you operate a motor vehicle pretty much every day. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I operate a motor vehicle almost every day.
And would it be also fair to say that you would only beep your horn in a motor vehicle if you were trying to alert someone to your presence?
I think that could be a fair statement.
Would it be also fair that you would beep your horn to avoid any danger?
There could be many reasons why a person is beeping their horn.
Would one of those reasons be to avoid danger?
Could be, yes.
Nicole White took the stand. She was the first person to be hit by the SUV. She had been walking alongside her company float that day during the parade. The car ran over her legs.
That's the first point that I knew that anything was happening was when I was hit. There wasn't any commotion or noise until right at that moment.
She was hit from behind. She was able to lift her head up to see the car continuing down the parade path. She never saw the brake lights come on.
After it happened, I guess like I didn't really know, like I thought that like somebody would have stopped after that point. And when I looked up, I just remember the vehicle like continued.
Jeff Rogers, the coach of the Waukesha Blazers baseball team, described losing one of his players to the incident, 8-year-old Jackson Sparks. He was attending the parade with 3 of his 4 children.
I remember hearing some sort of scream. Couldn't tell if it was part of the parade or not. Turned over my left shoulder to see, I remember a wheel falling over and thinking like, oh no, somebody fell off their bike or somebody got hurt. So I turned back around. And at that point, the screams got louder and I saw people running or heard people running and lots of screaming. So I turned around again, and that's when I saw a red SUV coming at us. And I pulled my daughter Maya out of the way.
As he was trying to get his kids to safety, he went back to check on other members of his team.
So I ran around the truck a couple times, and that's when I saw Jackson on the ground and stopped by him to check on him.
And what observations did you make of Jackson?
Jackson was motionless on the ground, eyes open, didn't appear to be aware.
Did he appear to be alive?
Was unsure.
Daniel Ryder's home was not the only place Brooks had gone to after fleeing the parade that evening. According to testimony, he had stopped at other houses along the way, asking the owners if he would be able to use their phone to call an Uber. Big Bend police officer Rebecca Carpenter testified that she stumbled upon Brooks as she was on Daniel's porch and immediately ordered him to put his hands up. I was coming from the parade route. I have a friend over there. Did I do something? Brooks asked her. During an interview with another Waukesha police officer, Detective Jay Carpenter, Brooks seemed shocked to learn that people were hurt at the parade. One of the officers showed him a video of his red SUV speeding through the crowd. I understand my life is over. He said, this is how my story ends. On Wednesday, October 26, 2022, it took just 3 hours for a jury to decide that Brooks was guilty on 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, as well as all 70 other counts. He stayed silent as the verdict was read. Another date was set for Brooks to be sentenced. The Dancing Grannies released a statement following the announcement. Justice has been served, and the Grannies are grateful to all who supported seeing the legal process through this point. Sentencing is yet to come. Even with all of this, lives are still gone. Lives are forever changed. A guilty verdict will never fix or change that. Now is the next stage of learning to live the pain of terrible and totally senseless loss. On November 16, 2022, Darrell Brooks entered his sentencing hearing. 45 people affected by the attack gave victim impact statements, during which Brooks continuously rolled his eyes, became rowdy, and even started clapping at inappropriate times. Before announcing her decision, Judge Doro spoke personally on how the case affected her. During this time, Brooks was removed from the courtroom after interrupting her. Judge Doro said Brooks chose the path of evil.
Child trauma, bipolar, indifference, physical abuse of a child, or even childhood trauma did not cause Darrell Brooks to commit the acts for which he will be sentenced here today. It is very clear to this court that he understands the difference between right and wrong, and that he simply chooses to ignore his conscience. He is fueled by anger and rage. Some people, unfortunately, choose a path of evil. And I think, Mr. Brooks, you are one of those such persons.
She said, "This trial is unlike anything I've ever been a part of. The sheer magnitude of the crime, the number of people impacted, how they were impacted, the vicious, senseless nature of it." She said the footage shown from the event frankly kept me up at night. Several people spoke on Brooks's behalf, including his grandmother and mother. Dawn Woods Brooks, his mother, recited the Maya Angelou poem, Caged Bird, and made a plea that the court system provide Brooks a path to bettering himself through treatment. Jail is not the only answer, she said. Help, treatment, hospitalization, and medication, it plays a big role in preventing this, where we are today, if it would have been offered sooner. Mary Edwards, Brooks's grandmother, explained how he had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder at age 12. It was that disorder that caused him to drive through that crowd, she said. It is my prayer that he will be treated for his illness. Then it was Brooks's turn to speak. He addressed the courtroom for more than 2 hours. He said he was saddened that the city and those involved in the tragedy could not see what was in his heart. I want everyone to know, also the community of Waukesha, I want you to know that not only am I sorry for what happened, I'm sorry that you could not see what's truly in my heart, that you cannot see the remorse that I have, he said. He addressed Erica Patterson, the mother of his child, and the woman he had hit in a domestic altercation right before driving through the parade.
I want you to know, if you're watching, I'll always have love for you. You're one of the mothers of my children. I can never hate you. I refuse to go that route. Always have love for you. I always respect you. We got a beautiful daughter. I haven't always been right in the things that I've said, things I've done in regards to you. What I will say is, it always takes two.
He asked the judge if he could be sent somewhere so he could be properly medicated.
I feel like I should be able to go somewhere where I can be helped, where I can be properly evaluated, where I can be properly medicated. If that is an extended period of a long, long time, at least I know that I'm getting what I need. Not what I want, what I need.
The hearing itself was paused at one point after a mass shooting threat was called into the courthouse. After some time, the court was allowed to proceed with added security on the premises. Darrell E. Brooks was sentenced to serve 6 life sentences, an additional 762.5 years for the 60 counts of recklessly endangering safety, plus 305 years of extended supervision. For each person injured during the attack, Brooks will serve 17.5 years. After Judge Doro read each life sentence, the courtroom applauded. Judge Doro said the sentencing was largely symbolic. It needs to hold you accountable in a very real and tangible way, she told Brooks. The city of Waukesha's 59th annual Christmas parade will be held on Sunday, December 4th, 2022 at 4 p.m. Extra security will be on site and more roads will be closed this year with a stronger police presence. The Dancing Grannies are slated to return, honoring the members they lost over a year ago. The city of Waukesha is also working to erect a memorial on Main Street, honoring Virginia Sorensen, Leanna Owen, Tamara Durand, Wilhelm Bill Hospel, and Jackson Sparks. And that's all for this episode. As always, we want to know what you think about this case. You can let us know by joining the conversation on Instagram at Court Junkie, tweeting us at CourtJunkiePod, or by emailing us at podcast@courtjunkie.com. This episode was researched and written by Law and Crime staff. If you'd like to hear these episodes without the ads, hear additional Court Junkie bonus episodes, and receive our weekly newsletter covering the most fascinating court cases of the week, please check out our Patreon options at courtjunkie.com/support. Also, check out Court Junkie's sister podcast, Civil. It covers the kind of court cases that don't necessarily land anyone in prison, but could easily make them go broke or ruin their lives. Catch recent episodes on Hulk Hogan and the alleged I-10 shooter. Search for Civil Court Junkie wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.